spent the last few days with my family in New York. And somewhere between walking through Times Square and watching my daughter experience the city for the first time, I realized something. A lot of us are building businesses to create a life, but we never stop long enough to fully live in the life that we actually are creating. So in this video, we're going to dive into why sooner or later you have to stop the building and start living. Stop the hustling and start being present. And this is a conversation that a lot of people are not going to agree with or are going to want to have. But in the course of being undeniable, sometimes we got to realize that we are living in the life that we had always prayed about. So let's get to it. What's going on, people? This is Shad Harris, the Kingmaker, and on our quest of becoming undeniable, no matter if that's in a business, in your life, as a parent, as a partner, sometimes you have to sit back and really analyze what you've actually built in your life so far. Some of us only think about the road ahead. I know this is definitely me. I think about the road ahead, and I don't think about looking behind me to see what I've already built. 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, I've prayed to actually be in the place that I'm at right now. And sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but when I really look back on my life and realize that I prayed about having a running business, a sustainable business, a business where not even a business, a life where I could be a father, be a present husband, and I didn't have to work every single day. Even though a lot of times I do work a lot, but I'm also very much present with my daughter. I'm able to give her bath time every night. I'm able to put her to sleep. I'm able to take her to school. I'm able to do homework. Me and my wife can have date nights. Me and my wife can sit back and enjoy each other. We can talk. I can be present for the ones that I need to be present for. And sometimes we don't really think about that. And the thing that actually got me into this mindset was over the last week, me, my wife, and my daughter took a trip to New York. And even though I've been to New York a couple of times, I've always been in New York on quick little 24-hour trips, a shopping trip here. Back in 2019, I went with one of my guys who was working with a label. And so I went up there with him. But all of those trips were quick little in and out trips. I had never spent long enough time in the city to really appreciate it. And while I was there, I was able to be present. I was able to enjoy this new experience. I was able to enjoy this new experience with my daughter. But while I was there, I got to really just sit back and reflect on my life. And sometimes, like I said, we just spend so many times hustling, trying to make money, try to get the next contract, try to get the next client, that we don't sit back and really analyze and take account for the things that we've actually done so far. So I want to do a video about this because I feel like it's important, because I know way too many people who are just building and creating, but they're not living. And so, of course, I have my handy dandy questions, because I don't know if I would want to be able to just talk off the top of my head for 20 minutes. What did this trip to New York make me realize about the life that I'm actually trying to build? The thing that this New York trip made me realize is that I want my life to feel more like this. First, it made me just appreciate where I'm at right now. It made me look back at, there were years where we could never take a trip. There were years where the only place that we could go to was DC because we could drive there. But to know that I was able to pay for me, my wife, and my daughter to fly, which was a pretty hefty price tag. And then me and my wife were able to kind of, split some of the responsibilities. But a lot of the major lifting fell on me, to be honest with you. But usually I would have been tight. I would have been salty, upset about that. But to know that I'm actually able to do that for my family, all bills have been paid. Nothing really skipped a beat. Everything flowed how it normally flowed in my household, in my family, in my business, made me realize that I want to, and not necessarily that I just want to, I need to live my life like this on a regular basis. I need to travel more. I need to experience more things. I need to get my family out of Virginia to be able to really reflect on the things that we've been building, not just me, not just my wife, but us as a family. When did I realize that working hard and building a successful business wasn't enough anymore? Ooh, that's a good question. The moment that I realized that working hard and building a successful business wasn't enough was in 2023. As I said before on this channel, 2023, the end of 2023 was the year that I just was completely burnt out. And I feel like my life is like the Bible in regards to that. There was before burnout and then there was after burnout. For me, before burnout was hustle, 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 hustle. Like I just need to get money. I just need to bring in new clients. I just need to keep working because I feel like I can outwork anybody. But after the burnout, I realized that I had been working, did all this stuff, and my life still wasn't how I wanted to go. I didn't feel connections with my wife. I felt like I wasn't as present for my daughter. I feel like I wasn't really building strong relationships. I felt like my business was flimsy, like it required me to do everything. And I looked at my life and just said, you know what? I'm doing all this work and my life isn't how I wanted to go. And so at that point, I realized that something had to change. And that's when I started to really make the change in my life where I can work, but I also have to put in place things that help me live in the life that I'm actually creating. And that's what I've been doing. What's the difference between building a successful business and building a successful life? The difference between building a successful business and building a successful life is the way I look at it. A successful business is really just one aspect of your life. Your life should not be surrounded by or being consumed by the business that you're building. If you have a successful life, to me, that means that you're doing everything right. That means you've built a successful business. If that's what you're doing, you've built a successful business. You have a successful family. You have a successful personal life. You are who you are. And all of those things are floating together. You're able to work the way you want to because you've communicated with your family. You're able to spend time with your family because things in your business are working correctly. When any of those things are out of whack, then everything else falls. I believe the framework that I like to live my life by is that everything in your life needs to be circular. Everything needs to work together for the good. I forgot the Bible scripture for that, but everything in my life works together for my own good. My business works, so my family works. My family works, so I work. And actually, that goes the other way. Actually, I work and I work on myself to make sure that my family works. My family works so that my business can work. And my business works so I can make sure that I have time for myself. And so all of that flows together. And so you can focus on building a successful business, but the true power, the true value is building a successful life for yourself. Let me say that one more time. You can build a successful business, but the true power and the true value comes when you are actually intentional about building a successful life for yourself. How does exposing yourself to new places, people, and experiences raise your standard? To me, anytime I travel outside of my normal places, it really just adds to my perspective that things are way different than how I normally see them in my little bubble of where I live, the people that I'm normally around. Last year, I went to Arizona for the first time, and I was able to see the value of just relaxing. I was able to see why you can go, but sometimes you just need to sit and just do nothing for 3-4 days. This trip made me think of all the dreams that I had of actually moving to New York and why I wanted to live there, but also why I also appreciate where I live at now, because I couldn't live in that chaos and just all these people on a day in and day out basis. Like, it's good to go there and experience it. And so when people say, like, say I'm from Virginia, I live in Virginia. And when people say, hey, you know, Virginia has nothing to do, Virginia is so boring, sometimes this trip made me appreciate the boringness of it. because even though New York had stuff to do, it was people everywhere. People were trying to sell you stuff at all times. And I was like, yo, this is too much. I want to just chill, enjoy the sights, and get on with my life and get on with my day. But you can't do that because it's always go, 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 go. So trips always give me a new perspective on the things that I'm either building or the things that I'm actually living. So always experience things. What am I building all of this for if I never give myself or my family the opportunity to enjoy it? I don't even know if that's a question. I just feel like a real statement. I don't really know I really don't know. I really don't know. My family works hard. My family, my little small family, deserves experiences. My family deserves me to be around. My family deserves me being happy. So if all I do is work, and even though I actually enjoy the work that I do, enjoy working with the people that I work with, you also need to set time aside to really be able to live the life and really be present in the life that you had always prayed about. I always prayed about this life. I always prayed about being able to take trips. I always prayed about having a home that I actually love being in. I always prayed about having a family that we actually enjoy being around each other. I always prayed about having a business that I actually didn't hate doing the work. I always prayed about just being the man that had all these things. And now that I have them, I feel like they would be disrespectful to God if I didn't really appreciate the things that he allowed me to have. It would be beyond disrespectful. It would be a slap in the face. So while I have them, and also I'm still striving for more, but while I have them, I need to appreciate it. I have to appreciate it, because if not, as easy as it was for God to give it to me, it can always be taken away. And so that's the thing that I keep in mind all the times. What does become undeniable mean when it comes to the life you live, not just the work that you do? Become undeniable. So the one thing I did do while I was away is I've been working on my own branding. I've been working on how I can actually map out this brand that I'm building and make it feel like me. And I was working with ChatGPT, as we all do probably. And in working with ChatGPT on this, one thing that I kept saying is I'm always using the word unstuck. I'm always using the word becoming. And ChatGPT just kind of replied back like, so what are you actually becoming? And the thing that stood out to me was I am becoming undeniable. I am becoming undeniable. And I got that from, it was a promo. Of course, you know, I'm a wrestling fan. It came from a promo from Cody Rhodes when he was in AEW, where he mentioned how he was overlooked and now he's becoming undeniable.
My mother, it's about my sister, it's about my wife, it's about the 14 years it took me to go from undesirable to un-goddamn deniable.
And the word undeniable just stood with me, where I still watch that promo from time to time. But undeniable just stood with me because that is what I'm actually striving for. I am striving to go from being overlooked to being undeniable in all facets of my life. I go to the gym because I want to be undeniable. I don't want to be like, maybe, Rashad is doing all right. Like, no. Rashad is killing it. You can see that from any time I walk in a room. You can see that business is good just from how I actually operate. You don't have to guess. You don't have to like, maybe this person is in line with this person. Like, no, we're nowhere near the same. And so while I was going through my brain, and like I said, that word kept popping up in my head, and it made me realize that's the crux for what I'm actually building here. Not only am I becoming undeniable in my mindset, and the way I live my life, and the way I build my business, and the way that I love my family, and the way that I love the work that I do. But I'm also becoming undeniable in just my life, my eating habits, the way I take care of my body, the way I take care of myself, the way I take care of my mental. I just want all of this to be focused and locked in, because I still feel this way that nobody's going to save you. So once you actually come to that, you have to realize that the only person that's going to save me is myself. And so that's something that I just think about all the time. And so when I say the words become undeniable, that's just a mantra for myself. But I also want that to be a mantra for whoever is watching this, that nobody's come to save you. And you can't just be good. You have to dominate. And the only way to dominate in life, no matter if it's your business, if it's your family, if it's parenthood, if it's you being in the industry that you're in, especially, not to get political, especially in the world that we live in where things are taken away at all times and people are overlooked at all times. You can't just be good. You have to dominate. In order to dominate, you have to be undeniable. And so that is where that's coming from. So when you see that in social media videos or you hear me say it in a YouTube video, that exactly what I'm talking about. You have to become undeniable. So that is the crux. That is the breakdown of what I took from my New York trip with my family. Like I said, it was a great time. It was a lot of great experiences. Rode around Central Park on a bike, took a bus where I did all the touristy things that a lot of people wouldn't expect, but did those things, enjoyed it. It was my daughter's first plane ride. So we had a really, really good time, but now it's back to work. And one aspect of becoming undeniable is that you're going to see my face a lot. You're going to see the work, and it's a lot of work. So you're going to see all of that. All right, let's get into some rapid fire questions. What's one branding rule you think entrepreneurs should break? The one branding rule entrepreneurs should break is using trendy videos as far as content. Trendy videos is cool, and I actually use that for a couple of my clients because it does generate views, but it doesn't help you to generate actual supporters and followers and buyers. The one thing that I would suggest to do in the meanwhile is actually create content where you're solving problems. Solving problems is way better than actually just having a whole bunch of views on it. Another thing that you could do to replace the trendy content and the views that it gets is actually run ads and actually boost the content that you put out instead of just waiting on trends to actually boost you up. What's more important for building a personal brand, being consistent or being memorable? Ideally, you should want to be consistent. Being consistent is going to allow you to stumble into being memorable because people are always going to see your face. Once you're focused on being consistent, then you can always tweak that to actually become better at what you're doing. So I've always believed that quantity is better than quality, but quantity will actually get you to quality. So focus on being consistent first, and then in turn, that's going to actually allow you to get 1% better after each video, and now you're going to become memorable. And then last question, if you could use only one platform to grow your personal brand for the next year, which one would you choose and why? The platform that I would actually choose, before I was going to say Instagram, but now it has been YouTube. YouTube is really going to allow you to build community. And while everybody else is actually, killing it on short form, you can actually build a community of supporters, followers, and people who are actually going to buy from you. And so as things get crazy in the world, get crazy with AI, the one thing that I would always suggest is to build a community on YouTube. Start YouTube videos right now. And so that is the end of this video. My battery is about to go dead on my camera, so don't want to mess that up. And so I'm Rashad, I'm 40, and I am here to help you become undeniable because that is what I'm doing as well. Y'all be blessed.